Have you ever finished a training week and thought, I probably could have done more? During this week, maybe you did every run on the plan as planned. Maybe you fitted training around work, family, life, and everything else you've got going on. And yet somehow it still doesn't feel enough. Or maybe you've achieved something you once desperately wanted. You ran a PB, you conquered a run type or distance or pace that you've once thought impossible for you. You finally became someone who runs consistently. And within days, sometimes hours, sometimes minutes, your brain is already focusing on the next thing, the next goal, the next challenge, or the next thing you need to improve upon. Maybe you regularly find yourself thinking, I should be faster, I should be fitter, I should be further ahead by now, I should be doing more. And no matter what you achieve, your brain somehow manages to focus on the gap between where you are and where you think you should be. So today I want to challenge something that most runners never stop to question. Because what if your need to constantly improve isn't actually about becoming a better runner? What if it's about trying to feel good enough? Welcome back to the Your Running Coach with GMacSpurr podcast. I'm Gillian. Hello. I'm a running mindset coach and creator of the Runner Identity Project, where we help runners build confidence, consistency, and self-trust without needing every run or race to prove something about who they are. If you're new around here, please consider following along. I release a new episode every Tuesday. And today's episode might feel a little uncomfortable because we're not talking about training plans. We're not even really talking about running. We're talking about the hidden reasons so many runners feel like they're never quite enough, no matter how much they achieve. And if that's you, I want you to know that you're not alone, because I am very much a recovering more runner myself. I still catch my brain doing this. I still catch it moving the goalposts. I still catch it whispering, yeah, okay, you did that, but what next? So let's talk about it. Because once you see this pattern, you cannot unsee it. And it changes everything. I think most runners believe they're chasing improvement, when in actual fact, a lot of runners are chasing evidence. Evidence that they're improving, that they're disciplined, that they're committed, that they're working hard enough, that they're doing enough. Think about how often we look for proof that training is working, that we're getting fitter, that we're making progress, that we're becoming the runner we want to be. And on the surface, that sounds completely reasonable. Of course we want progress and improvement. Here's where it gets interesting though. For some runners, improvement stops being something that they enjoy pursuing and starts becoming something they need. If improvement is what makes you feel confident, what happens when improvement slows down? If achievement is what makes you feel proud, what happens when you don't achieve? If progress is what makes you feel worthy, what happens when progress plateaus? Suddenly every run carries a lot more emotional weight. It isn't just a run anymore, it's evidence, stacked evidence. And evidence feels less important because your brain believes it needs it. You might recognize this. You run a great run. You feel really good. Your confidence is sky high and you're feeling so freaking positive about the rest of your training. Then you have a rough run 3 days later and suddenly you're questioning everything. Not because your fitness disappeared over those 3 days, but because the evidence changed. If your confidence is built on evidence, it becomes incredibly fragile. Now let's talk about one of my brain's favourite games, moving the goalposts. My brain is bloody good at it, maybe yours is too. Think about something that you've achieved in running, something that once felt impossible. Maybe it was running your first 5K or running for 30 minutes without stopping. Maybe it was completing a marathon or getting a race PB. Think back to how you so badly wanted it, how significant it felt, how much it mattered. Now notice what happened afterwards. Did you fully absorb it? Did you spend weeks appreciating it? Or did your brain quickly move on to, okay, but now I need to X. Now I need to do Y. For so many runners, the finish line becomes the starting line for the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. I've worked with runners doing genuinely extraordinary things. Runners showing up constantly year after year. Runners balancing careers, families, responsibilities and training. runners doing things that most people would never even attempt, and they still describe themselves as mediocre. Mediocre? Seriously? It's absolutely wild when you stop and think about it. Somewhere along the way, your brain updated its definition of normal. The achievement became expected. Their effort became meh, I guess so. The goalposts moved. Again, and again, and again. That's why doing more never feels like enough, because enough isn't actually the destination, especially when that destination keeps moving. Boom! This is where things get interesting, because I don't think all runners are actually chasing improvement. I think they're chasing a feeling of enoughness, of certainty, of confidence, of being allowed to feel proud. We often outsource those things to achievement. We tell ourselves, I'll feel proud when, I'll feel confident when, I'll believe in myself when, I'll finally feel like a real runner when. And every time we achieve the thing, we get a temporary hit, a brief moment where we feel what we wanted to feel. Then the feeling fades and we need another achievement. The cycle continues, not because we're broken, and certainly not because ambition is bad, but because achievement was never designed to provide permanent self-worth. One PB can't do that. One finish line can't do that. One great run can't do that. No matter how impressive it is, because the problem was never the achievement itself. The problem was what we expected the achievement to give us. Once you understand this, you start seeing it everywhere. You see it in the runner who feels guilty taking a rest day, not because rest is wrong, but because resting feels like they're not doing enough. You see it in the runner who panics after a bad week, not because fitness disappears in 7 days, but because they feel like they've failed. You see it in the runner who can't enjoy a successful race because they've already focused on the next one. You see it in the runner who constantly adds extra miles, extra runs, extra pressure. Not because they're lazy or because they're uncommitted, but because they're trying to create certainty. They're trying to reassure themselves. They're trying to prove something. No amount of running can permanently solve a problem that isn't actually about running. Because if the belief underneath is, what I do is never enough, then every achievement simply becomes another thing your brain adapts to. Now, before you go panicking, thinking I'm suggesting we all stop setting goals, that is not where I'm going. I love goals. Specifically, I love seeing what's possible for me. The answer isn't to care less or to stop wanting more. And I'm certainly not suggesting you lower your standards. Heck no. The shift is much more subtle than that. It's moving from I need more in order to be enough to I am already enough and I still want more. Those are completely different places to operate from. One creates pressure, the other creates possibility. One creates fear, the other creates excitement. One says, I have to achieve this. The other says, I'd love to achieve this. One makes every run a test. The other allows running to become an experience or an adventure or challenge, not something you constantly use to evaluate yourself. Ambition is a beautiful thing when it's coming from self-trust or from curiosity or even when it's coming from possibility. It's only when ambition becomes tangled up with self-worth that it starts to hurt. So before we finish today, I want to leave you with a few questions. If you're new around here, each episode I give you some questions so you can dive on into the topic that we have been discussing. So go grab your journal and pen or use the app on your phone, the notes app on your phone. I want you to think about these prompts specifically on your next run, but obviously as you're journaling, you're not going to be journaling on your run. So think about them when you're on your run and then come back and note them down. So question number 1, what achievement am I currently hoping will finally make me feel enough? Remember, judgment free, we're just observing what the stories are. Question number 2, where am I running do I keep moving the goalposts? There's maybe going to be many. Number 3, what evidence am I constantly looking for? Number 4, If I stopped improving tomorrow, how would I feel about myself? That is a big one. And if you want, you're more than welcome to DM me on Instagram or Facebook and let me know what you've come up with this one. I'm happy to support you in the DMs. And perhaps the biggest question of all, what would change if I believed I was already enough while still pursuing my goals? Not after you've achieved them, and not when you achieve them, now. Here's what I want you to remember. You can be ambitious and compassionate, driven and content, committed and relaxed. You can want more without believing you need more in order to deserve respect. And when you stop treating everyone as proof of your worth, something really interesting happens. You actually start enjoying the process again. And if today's episode has made you realise that your biggest challenge isn't motivation, but the pressure you constantly put on yourself, that's exactly why I created the Summer Consistency Reset. Because consistency isn't usually ruined by a lack of knowledge, it's ruined by guilt, pressure, all or nothing thinking, and the belief that you're never doing enough. The Summer Consistency Reset is designed to help you stay connected to your goals over the summer without consistently feeling like you're falling behind. You'll find all the details in the show notes. Spots are limited, so if you're interested, reach out. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway. Send me a message on Instagram and let me know. Until next time, remember, you don't need to earn the right to feel proud of yourself, and you don't need to become more in order to be enough. Thank you for listening. Happy running. Bye for now.